Yeah, so look, we've had a good week of practice. Looking forward to going up to Green Bay and playing against those guys. It's a good team that we're playing. It'll be a hell of a challenge for us, but we're excited about it. Don't all start at once.
Dennis, just when it comes to like all the sort of motion and eye candy stuff that Green Bay does, what's the biggest challenge?
Exactly what you just said. Just making sure you put your eyes in the right spot, and certainly being one step ahead of the offense, understanding, there's a lot of shifts and motions and things of that nature that they do, and so you got to anticipate that a little bit.
Especially with like some of the like match coverage stuff, like does that impact that?
Yeah, look, I mean, everything gets impacted when the offense is changing the picture on you. So, look, we've always said that, every time the offense is breaking the huddle or telling you a story, you're reading the book. So we got to make sure we're paying attention to those guys coming out of the huddle, see how they get lined up, see who's in what spots, anticipate whatever shift or motion they may give us, and then, be able to anticipate the potential play concepts they do out of it.
I know second game in a row you're facing a quarterback that doesn't have much experience in the NFL. He has maybe one more game before the season compared to Bryce Young. But what are the similarities between preparing for Jordan Love and Bryce Young in that sense?
Well, I wouldn't say there's a ton of similarities. Obviously a totally different offense. The concepts that they do are different. We've obviously had an opportunity to, we played against Jordan in the preseason. We got a chance to practice against those guys last year, so there's a little bit of familiarity with the player, and yet, we'll have to see how it plays out on Sunday. What I do know is that he's leading the league in passer rating right now. He's got 6 touchdowns and no interceptions, so he's playing at a really high level, and they're executing, and so we'll have our work cut out for us.
You spoke during training camp, obviously, the phrase like draft and develop, but also during training camp with competition battles, like nothing's confirmed. And is that kind of the case even during the season, especially given Kendre Miller's opportunity to step into a big role? I mean, like competing.
Yeah, look, we have to prove ourselves every day we go out there, whether it be in practice or in the games. And this is a highly competitive business that we're in, and you have to perform at an acceptable level. And so, I think our guys understand that they're held to a certain standard, and they're expected to go out to play to a certain standard. And so that's exactly what we expect.
And we've also, Taysom's been a topic of conversation just because of production last week, specifically as a true tailback. Is that something that can continue and can work well with Tony and Kendre in the backfield?
Yeah, look, we've used and will continue to use Taysom in a lot of different areas. And yet, I don't see us getting him 20-something touches in a game because this is a long season. It's not about just week 2 or week 3, a lot of these running backs get beat up in our league, and so trying to utilize him in a way that allows us to have some success, and yet, ultimately we want to have Taysom around for a 17-game season too. So I think it'll always be part of what we do. It'll always be part of our package, and there'll be some times where it's utilized a little bit more, sometimes where it maybe isn't utilized quite as much. So each game plan's different.
I mean, do you go in with a number in mind, or is it kind of just a?
I wouldn't say it's an exact number. We have plays, and we have a certain volume of plays where he's in a number of different spots, and then you kind of see how the game's playing out. Obviously, he was effective with what we were doing with him in the game last week, so there was a few more opportunities. So. We'll play each game out as it goes, but he'll be a big part of what we do. And even when he's not getting the ball, he's affecting the defense. So it's not always about who gets the touch. Him being out on the field affects the defense.
Joe Barry mentioned that having Taysom Hill or having to prepare for a team with Taysom Hill means that you kind of prepare for 2 different offenses. Is that something you've ever had to prepare for in your time
Well, look, I think it's an advantage to us. I think it's a challenge, on the defense when you've got two different types of quarterbacks that play in a game. And so, yeah, you have to have a plan when one player's in at the quarterback position. You have to have a plan when another player's in at the quarterback position. I think our deal is a little bit unique in that, Taysom lines up as a runner, he lines up as a tight end, he'll line up as a receiver, he lines up as a quarterback. I think we haven't tried him at offensive line yet. I don't plan on doing that, but there's a lot of different things that he can do.
Sticking with the offensive line, I think in both first halves of the first two games, this when the protection was really at its worst. What would you guys do to start the game to make the protection get easier in the second?
Well, look, I think in the first game there were some things that we had to change up from a protection standpoint, and yet in the second game, there was just a couple times where they won, and sometimes that happens in our league. So go on to the next play. Let's move on and let's be better the next play. So I don't really look at it as a big issue. Obviously, we got to protect the quarterback certainly, but I didn't see it as a protection plan issue. Probably a little bit more of an execution issue.
What stands out about Green Bay's front seven? The front there.
Yeah, look, I think particularly when you think about the size and the speed and the length on the edges, I think is one thing that I think is pretty evident when you watch them play. Athletic at the linebacker position, specifically with Quay Walker. And then up front they've done overall. I think they've done a pretty good job. I think one of the things that they do really well is I think they do rush the passer well. I think they create some challenges with their looks, and I think they can get pressure on the quarterback.
Kendra was asked yesterday, given the opportunity that presented itself with Jamal going out, last week he was kind of ready but didn't go, and now he's even more eager to play in a stadium that he's grown up watching. How ready do you think he is, not only as a violent runner, but working with this offensive scheme?
Well, look, we're going to find out on Sunday, right? He's got to go out there and perform. And so, look, he's prepared himself all week. He's gotten himself ready mentally, physically, emotionally to play the game. And now it's time to go out there and perform. And that's really, that's ultimately what we're all judged on.
Did something happen to Boston? It looked like he was kind of.
He's dealing with a hamstring. Yeah. So I expect he'll be questionable for the game.
Is that from the game, or did that happen in practice?
And it came up in practice.
Okay. Thanks, Dean.
All good? All right. Thanks, guys.